Welcome back to another video, folks. Well, this marks the fourth video in this year, which means in 6 months for videos we have an equal of like 2 months without videos. Even though my upload schedule is yeah, this year my upload schedule isn't that great. Anyways, in today's video we are going to be modeling little something that I got a few weeks ago, actually, when I was at my grandma's grave, and there's a bit of a story behind it. Every year during the anniversary of the deaths of my grandpa and grandma, I visit their graves, and then I go to like the toy store. They went with me when I was a child, and then later on, well, yeah, during my youth and stuff, because this toy store also sells many models. And I went there with my best friend and I got a Panther because he said, just take a German cat. I listened to him and I don't even regret it. And without further ado, let's jump straight into the building. I have to admit here that I had a little problem after the build. That is that all the videos I record with my phone were saved into Google Pictures, and I deleted stuff in Google Pictures because I just use the standard gallery that you have on Samsung, and turns out I deleted them from my phone. So we only have half a build here. That's that's shameful. That's on me. I should have looked into Google Pictures a bit more and how it is saved and how the deletion affects my normal gallery. And since this is a Dragon kit, everything fit together perfectly. I have to admit that Dragon kits are on top of Tamiya with the fitting, and I do have a few more Dragon kits here in my possession. Next tank will be in 72nd scale, but then we will go back to some 35th scale tanks, and I also have some nice surprise for you in the future videos. Also, a thing I hate about German big cats of World War II, like tigers and panthers, is the weirds. I mean, yes, a Panzer 3 or 4 can be annoying with its weirds too, but those layout weirds, they really annoy me. But test fitting them throughout the build is still good, because when I painted the tank, I had some issues with them, and I had to cut the arms a bit shorter just to put them on. Also, a thing on the backplate is that I had to cut off like half a centimeter just so another part can be glued over it. I don't get it. The footage is not here with us anymore, it's deleted, but that was just a dumb step, not gonna lie. No one realizes it without turning the tank around though. First, let's talk about a base color, which is Tamiya XF60 dark yellow. And I thinned it down with some Revel aqua color mix. And now let's talk about the primer. I primed the tank with Dull Red LP16 from Tamiya, which is from their Lacquer Paint series, and it's a pretty neat paint. You can straight up put it into your airbrush, even after the can has been open for a few months or maybe a year, and don't need any thinner. Problem is here with Dull Red, in 72nd scale it doesn't work as nice as in 35th scale. Spoke with a friend of mine from a reenactment group who is a bit modded, and I came to the conclusion that only 1/35th scale and larger models are going to be primed with this color, and smaller models will go with the usual black primer and some white highlights for some artificial shadows to give them more depth. And that's what I'm going to do from now on. I went over the tank with like 3 to 4 coats of the dark yellow, and then the bottle ran out. Now I have only one bottle left, which is no problem, I don't need it as of right now. But for the next moddeds in the future that are 1/25th scale, I will use some different yellow tones that are found for a small core, so to say. And I have to mention that this is a very fun build, and is one of those models that impressed me in a very good way that I would buy it again, have it in my stash, and maybe redo it again in the future. Maybe I just leave it with the factory primer in the future and do the other versions provided with the instructions. Who knows? As for the camouflage color, I am using XF89, which is German green 2, I think. It's more like the late warish German green, but NATO green would work too in this case. And as you can see by my masking job, we have some very special camouflage pattern. On the ancient deck I didn't do much because I misplaced the instructions during painting and couldn't really look up how the sides and front and the back should look like. So I improvised a little, but the tank turned out great. And I really love this camouflage pattern. I have to do something similar on a Tiger or something in the future. Maybe a Tiger 2, not really sure, since those are more the three-tone camouflage pattern vehicles in the Wehrmacht. But a Tiger 1 in the future. Or maybe another Panther would look great with this camo scheme. And who knows, maybe I'll build another Panther in a few months. Also, quick note here. The white stuff on my vehicle is not Masking Putty directly, it's Yuhu Putterfix, a long-term helper of this channel basically. It is normally used to put posters on the wall, but I use it on my moddeds because it gives clean edges, it sticks, very weak though, but it sticks, and it doesn't rip off your paint when removing and doesn't leave a residue, unlike a case Masking Putty that I accidentally bought and now have to throw away because of those issues. Also, the removal is always the most satisfying part of every model build. And I just leave you here watching it, enjoying it a bit, the few seconds that I actually recorded it, and then we see us with the next part. Because this is a Dragon kit and it came with some rubber one-piece tracks that you have to glue on, I was like, no, I don't want to use them. I want to use real modded tracks again. I've never used real modded tracks on this channel, but I have used them before, about 4 or 5 years ago. No, 4 years ago. Nearly 4 years ago. I was building the Revel Jagd Tiger from 1995 which I believe is a own raffle kit, but could be also reworked. I don't know. Go on Scalemates and check it for yourself. But I ordered 3 model tracks for it because I wanted to make the model a bit more heavier, since those old raffle tracks with the thin plastic, they basically weigh nothing, and I just wanted something new and heavier on the tank. That's why I bought 3 model tracks. And as you can see here, the application is very straightforward. You cut some of the brass wire to length. Other people tell you to use long staples, but the brass wire is just fine. Then you push it into the tracks. And a thing that I have heard about Fury is that they have quality issues. You have to drill out the holes in the individual links and stuff. I didn't experience any of it until now, but I could be proven that this also will affect me in the future. Who knows? I have a few in my collection still, and for a few special vehicles. Anyways, after the pin, so to say, that we made out of the wire, just put some super glue on it and you're fine. Also, you've seen me sending those tracks. Thing is, you have some little flash on the ends. That's no problem. That's not a quality issue there. Plastic tracks can have the same problem. And other plastic pods too. So that's not really a quality issue for me. For others it might be. But for me, it's just something that comes with the build. Like with the plastic. After about 3 hours, while listening to some videos and audiobooks or documentaries, whatever I did, I have one entire track. I have to note here that during the entire build of the track, I had to wrap it around the tank to see how many links I need, and I actually put 3 links too much on it and then do a horrific, very horrific operation just to get the track back to the length I need. And now to the tracks. I put them into VMS Black Track Pro V2.0. Doesn't need an activator really, but that's okay. I had a little water bath where I poured the VMS solution in it. Then I soaked the tracks in it. There was one issue though. I didn't read how to use the product properly. I know gloves and stuff because chemicals. But yeah, I let the tracks in for about half an hour. Or 40 minutes. I think it was 40 minutes because Germany was playing against the Ivory Coast. I did it yesterday night, on a Saturday. And yeah, I wanted to watch the football game from and how our national team literally sucked in the first half. And then UNDAF was going in and saved us. And yeah, that's not a topic on this channel basically, but I was distracted, okay? The tracks turned out great. Only one link wasn't really attacked, but that's okay. I can live with it. It was luckily the connection link where I had to connect the ends together and I can hide it under the tank. But in the future I have to test another product, and if nothing else helps, I will need to buy a few bottles of the VMS solution, because then I will use the whole bottle. The entire time those tracks were submerged in a little chemical bath, I went in with a dirty brush. I know, I didn't have any other brush. I need to buy some new ones at the store next week or in 2 weeks. And then, yeah, I just went around removing some air pockets and, well, yeah, kind of cleaning my brush at the same time, which was a win-win, but that's why you have those little flakes of putty floating around there playing island. After I took them out, I rinsed them under some water and then I put them out on my balcony during the night and let them dry outside. Which was a great idea, I'm not gonna lie. In the morning, I took them in and I was like, damn, those are some nice tracks. They look like straight out from the factory. I didn't let them stay this way, as you've seen. I sanded them because the most outstanding edges of a tank track everything that touches the ground is automatically chipping off and showing its true metal. And that's what I did here on the outside. I didn't do it on the inside because I would have needed to measure all the 4 wheels and their thickness, cut some sanding paper down, glue it on a toothpick, which would be great, but then I would have masked anything that isn't a straight line where the wheel would actually touch the track, and basically, you know, sand it there. Not on this tank. On Panther 3 and 4, that's not an issue because you have to sand the inside. But on Tigers and Panthers, it's a little issue. I will touch that topic in the future, but for now, we just leave them as they are. I did paint the wheels off cam because I wasn't really sure how good I would do with the paintbrush, especially when I couldn't really look straight at it due to my disability. I need stuff very close to my eyes, and when there's a phone in front of you, yes, you could use the phone like I did on my first diorama 2 years ago, but that's a different case for the wheels. I wanted them to look something like a clean wheel, and I did achieve a pretty good result on them. I mean, yes, you could argue that I could have just painted them in the rubber color with the airbrush and then get some masking sheets, or even better, those a different circle masking PE parts that you just put on and then spray sand color. I will buy one of those in the future, but for now, this is the best result I came up with, and it looked great on the wheels. It really looks great. And then, after all the wheels were glued on, we had to move to the tank track and apply the tank track. I did glue on the front wheel here with raffle glue. Why raffle glue? It forces the plastics to melt together a bit, and then you can put the tracks on them. Also, I just saw that the red backside of the wheels, it looks kind of funny, not gonna lie. But yeah, while the glue is still in its magical process of melting, you can move the wheel around a bit, and that's how you put on the track. A thing with those metal tracks, since they make your model a bit heavier, you can super glue them in place so they won't really wiggle around, but I don't like it. You know, when the tank is flipped around, you can see that I just put the track in place and let it rest. No super glue needed. Some people use super glue, but I disagree with that opinion, because you have this natural hang already from the tracks. You have the gravity pulling it down and making it look natural. You don't need to secure it with super glue. If you pick the tank up and it gets out of place, just put it back in with a tweezer. And after the tracks were secured in place, I put on the decals and called it good. And there we have it, guys. 1/25th scale Panther Ausf D V2. One of the few prototypes of the Ausf D before Hitler told for his summer offensive he wants the new Panther tank in numbers. And that's why they were rushed to the front for Kursk. And yeah, they did a job. Not good, not bad, but they did a job. Yeah. Anyways, this is a prototype tank. I really love the build. It's a very nice Dragon kit. Dragon kits are always nice, but this one is just, you know, you can finish that because it doesn't have many parts. You can't finish that in a weekend. Well, not me, of course, because I take extra steps to my models, like with the 3-wheel tracks that I ordered. But it's really something great in 45th scale. You can use the rubber tracks, of course. They are nice too. But the last tank I built from Dragon with rubber tracks was Whitman's Tiger 1 on the Eastern Front, his first Tiger 1, and they ripped after like 8 years. So yeah, for about 8 years, rubber tracks are great, but then it's a shame when they just straight up rip. So yeah, I would suggest aftermarket kits, but everyone builds his models in his way. Anyways, I really love the paint scheme that I came up with. Sure, the entry deck would need some green stripes, I agree, but that was due to the misplacement of the instructions, as I told you guys before. And the tank overall is really great. You have nice details, you don't have any extras on the side, it's very clean. Yes, I could have done some armor texture, but hey, it looks nice, okay? It's a prototype, you know, like the instructions told me for the paint schemes, they're all from 1942, so yeah, I don't need a meta texture on this tank then. That's my choice. For the next Panther, I might do one on the turret, but it's fine. Only the turret mandate has some texture already as plastic parts, but yeah, that's okay. I mean, it would be some good idea to add some metal texture on all my builds in the future, but yeah, it depends on how willing I am to do it. I did it in the past, yes, especially on my pancake a few years ago, but as for now, I just say I really love this kit. If you have the chance to buy it on a discount, just buy it. You can buy fuel tracks, you don't need to. You can buy offer tracks, maybe 3D printed ones, and paint them. But overall, this is a really solid build. 8 out of 10. It's an 8 out of 10. You know, if Dragon would have given us a metal gun barrel and some exhaust covers as PE pods, then it would be a 10 out of 10. Anyways, guys, that's it for today's video. Sorry to letting you wait this long for another upload. The next one will be in about 2 weeks. And until then, I wish you a very nice rest of your day. Bye bye.